Hello, Archie Manning here. When you grow up in a town like Drew, you understand once a Mississippian, always a Mississippian. I love this place and care about what happens here. Our doctors are telling us 95% of new hospital patients who have COVID did not get vaccinated. We know the vaccine works, but only if you get it. It's easy and it works. Please get vaccinated, my friends, and stay healthy.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
Started here because that's kind of important for what we do. And who else do we have coming on? There's my man, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. What is happening, brother? Good to see you. And thank you, Grandmaster, for coming on in. And there's Beelzebrad, Too Much Information, and Muamua, Robert Moore. Good to have you all here. And who else we got? Peppa H, always a pleasure. Jurassic Joey, thanks for coming on in. The gorgeous Avi May has returned. Yep. And Open-Minded Clarity looking lovely tonight as well. Who else do we have? Fapster. Fapsterino. Fidgety Aura, good to see you. And there's Rooted in Gorgeous Sacredness. And I don't hope we don't run out of time here. Let's see. Special Ed 8, where have you been hiding? Good to have you back. Uncle Dale and his Power Stash are here. If you're in Austin, Texas, find Uncle Dale, rub his Power Stash for the month of November of good luck. Gorgeous Jessica McCreary, Chris Miller, good to see you. And, oh goodness, we're going to run out of time. Hi, Ted, how are you? Don D, good to see you. The lovely Oracles and Beyond. And Rich Hilke's here, the Rich Hilke. And we got to cut it right there. Night Gazer, how are you? Rock and roll, man. Let's get your horns up. Here comes Bumblefoot. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire, and check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Yes, the Butch is back. Yes, we say hello once again to Butch Witkowski in Strange Days. Butch is the lead investigator and creator of UFOcop.com, a Pennsylvania research crew looking into all things weird and strange. For the last 20-plus years, Butch has been chasing monsters and tripping on legends to find the answers to some of life's most oddest questions. And what those questions are, nobody really knows because Butch never tells us. He's secretive that way, and we love him when he's here. Butch Witkowski, my friend, it's always good to have you back on this show. How you been?
I'm fine, sir. How have you been?
You know what? I've been battling a little bit of a cold lately, and
That's cool.
Some days I feel great. Other days I feel like I'm going to lose my voice. Somehow I think by the end of the show tonight my voice may be gone, but that's okay. I'm going to battle it out tonight with you. So what's new in the cryptid world since we last talked? Got a little bit of everything?
Yeah, kind of. Got my first crack at archaeology. When I started doing this stuff, when I started this stuff 30 years ago, I did, over the years, I've done a lot of stuff that I didn't know how to do and had to learn how to do and all that kind of stuff. And about 2 years ago, a lady got in touch with me, a very large, and I mean large farm, horse farm, down in northeastern Pennsylvania. And she said, there's a pile of rocks out there. She said, and she said, it looks like hieroglyphics on it. She said, I can't make it out. but the house has been the farm's been in the family for 60 years. So a couple times I went down. Well, the field is that muddy that you couldn't even get that far in there to get even close. So we had a couple days of nice weather, and I called her and asked her if it was okay to come down. So went down, walked out these pile of rocks over in the far corner of the field, and it was I don't know what the markings mean. I took tracings of all of them. I sent them to a friend of mine is an archaeologist, and I said, "What's the let me know what these are. Are they indigenous, or are they just some drunk was scribbling on there trying to make an IOU to somebody he owed money to or something." But while we were there, there's a pile of trees and brush that just were out of place because there's nothing like that in the field except the rocks on one side and these pile of trees on the other. So I started poking around there. Well, there's a cave.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I've been wanting to do that for a long time. So I asked her if it was okay if, we went home and got some tools and stuff, because we had to make an opening. I mean, it was that condensed of bush and brush. So I came back and got my neighbor, and we went down and did a little chopping and weeding and carrying on. I finally got in there, and that was bizarre. It went downhill. The ceiling height was probably about 14, 16 feet. We measured it off in length, and it went back about 40, 45 yards. But there's just so much stuff in there that's interesting. I mean, there's bone fragments, and we got some of those, and there's no footprints or anything. But the one side of the cave, as you're walking in, this side of the cave is natural rock. The ceiling is natural rock. This side of the cave, the left side of the cave, it's been hewed out. I mean, somebody actually was chopping at that. I mean, you can see the tool marks and the pile of rubble underneath. So I thought, boy, I'm out of my element. So I got the same guy that I went to school with, who is an archaeologist for Penn State University. I told him about what was going on, and I sent him a couple pictures. And he's on a dig right now in North Carolina, but he'll be done with that in a couple weeks. He said, I'll come up and we'll go down together, which would really be neat, because I don't know squat about archaeology. I can barely spell it. But it's interesting that these people didn't even know there was a cave there. That farm has been there for 60 years, same family. And had no idea there was a cave there. And I went like, well, might be indigenous. I mean, we might see more. We'll take down more light next time. We just had a couple LED lights, but I'll take down floodlights. But that was weird.
No kidding.
But what I was looking for, when you go on an investigation, you always look for something that's not supposed to be there. Right?
Right.
So I'm looking for hair, scat, anything I can find. Well, I find bones all over the place. I'm like, okay, so I took one of the biggest ones and one of the smallest ones, and the one actually to me is a rib. I mean, it's a rib. But now, if it's a rib from an animal or a human, I don't know that yet. But it was really exciting. I had a ball. I was in my element, man. I was getting freaky. I was like, this is cool as hell. I love it.
Well, that really isn't going to do justice for us trying to get you cranky tonight, then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's some crank coming.
Well, but I hope so.
It's weird, because I always thought that with these bipedal canines and some other cryptids that are involved, they just don't disappear, because when we sat and looked at maps and the drawings and reports, there was always two things that were very common in, I would say, 70% of the reports, especially with the bipedal canine. Water was close by, whether it was stream or lake or, just a tributary. And then the other thing was there was always caves nearby. Now, Pennsylvania, the Spelunker Society, they have a list of every cave that's located in Pennsylvania that tells you whether they're private or not, if they're closed, if they're open to the public, or, if you have to go get permission to go in. And, this just came out of nowhere because I wasn't going down there to look for a cave. I was down there looking at these markings on the rocks. And my best guess is they're probably going to turn out to be some type of indigenous, because that whole valley back in the day was all Indian, all the way down to Wilmington, Delaware. I mean, that whole section of Northeast. But I was excited. It was different. I wasn't, outside with a pair of binoculars trying to catch flies. And I really got cranked on this one. So I'm anxious to see what it turns out to be. Maybe next month we'll get enough information we can share it with the SOR group.
I don't know, man. All I know is that when you go in caves, bad things can happen. Really bad things can happen.
Well, one of the things I was really looking for was footprints. If I would have seen some tracks of some whatever, I probably wouldn't have gone in as far as I did. But I went all the way to the back. But a couple things that look like prints, but they just look too small. But then again, the indigenous weren't big people, so it could be a moccasin track. There's only 3 tracks, but I put some stones around it so I didn't forget where it was or walk on it by mistake. But it was pretty cool.
So how long did the family live on that property before they were able to actually see this cave? They never knew it was there, Butch?
No. The same family lives there for 60 years. He's an attorney and she's a CPA. Basically, they have a horse farm for shits and giggles. And they knew about the rocks, and I was supposed to go down there a while back, and it was just too muddy to get in there. I mean, you couldn't even walk in there. That's how muddy that field was back in that end, because it looks like the field kind of tapers down at the one corner, and that's where the rocks are, and of course all the water runs down that way. So it was just I couldn't get from the road, because the only access road is really a road that goes back to a bunch of houses, so I couldn't park the truck and block a lane. So when it got nice, and we had a couple days in a row that were really nice, and I thought, I gave her a call and said, yeah, come on down. So, but they had no idea. Even when I told her that I found a cave, she just looked at me like I was crazy. No I said, no, there's a cave there. So her and her husband came walking down, and he wouldn't go. She went in, but he wouldn't go in.
No, I'm not going in.
He's there like, bad juju.
I'm not going in either. I don't blame him whatsoever. My friend, when you look at some of those caves, I mean, you imagine how many caves are out there right across North America that could be holding some major, major secrets towards not only the history of this continent, but to animals and creatures as well.
Thousands and thousands and thousands. There's over 1,500 in Pennsylvania. 1,500. Now I'm talking about caves. I'm talking about mine shafts. You got to add those to the mix. But about 1,500 in caves. Some of them are actually local. Up here on Mount Penn, there were a bunch of caves that were constructed for Hessian troops that were taken prisoner during the Revolutionary War, and they kept them in these caves, and they just had a big gate on them. But that's a place where I don't know how many folks involved in paranormal have gone in there, and I really had no desire to go in there. I mean, I've seen them because I grew up in that area, and but they said, you can take any piece of equipment with new batteries in, test it outside. Once you break the plane and get inside, the batteries go dead. I said, yeah, right. I got to try this. Yeah, they were right. And if you go back outside, the batteries are fine. Go back inside, batteries are dead.
What causes that?
I talked to a geologist, and he said, Could be some quartz iron mix, or they come up with all kind of stuff. But I didn't understand a word of what he was saying. All I know is that when you went in and you broke the plane of actually getting into the cave, uh, batteries are dead. And the first time it happened to me, I actually went out and put new batteries in the piece of equipment. Walked back in, tested them outside, they were fine. Walked back in, they were dead. Came back out, they were fine. So I don't know what would cause that unless it be something, because they're just they all they did was they dug into the side of a rock formation, and I think there's 4 where they kept these guys prisoners, and I think somebody told me one time I think they held like 40 guys, but and then the last one they built. And they said it was built that way because they thought the duration of the war was going to keep going on. And it's actually lined with stone inside. It's like finished off, no drywall, just stone.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Butch Witkowski is here with us tonight for Strange Days. Butch, we're getting closer to Halloween. How's the veil around your area? Is it thinning yet?
No, not quite. Not quite. We're right now. We got a storm going on outside, and it's I guess we're supposed to get one of these cyclone downbursts or whatever they're called. It got a little windy and stormy about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, and then it kind of stopped, but it's still raining like crazy. So we're supposed to have rain for the next week, next 7 days straight.
Well, isn't that nice?
No, that sucks. I mean, it really sucks because I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. You can't get anything done. So, you get stuck in the library or, you start making calls on reports and stuff like that. But it just, I hate it. It could snow. I wouldn't care about snow. It just rain. It's just a pain in the ass. You can't do anything. No matter where you go, you're either going to get soaking wet or you're going to sink in the mud or the truck's going to get stuck. Not a whole lot of choice there.
No, but, not at all.
I'm going to wait for better weather and get up there to Canada.
Well, you can try. You never know. I mean, we don't have many monsters here,
We'll find some. What if I bring one along?
Hey, that'll work. Work.
That'll be fun.
That'll absolutely work. Going back in time, because, you've been around this scene forever and a day. Do you have a favorite Halloween story going back to even when you were a kid that really, really got you excited about this time of year?
Yeah, it was when I told Marianne Wallace I wanted to switch costumes with her.
And who?
That's another story.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I was 12. I think. That was the best Halloween I ever had.
Poor Marianne Wallace.
Uh-huh. A lot of freaky stuff happens around. Well, mostly that happens in Lancaster County in Halloween. Like, pumpkins are seen moving on their own. These old haunted houses that people have been going in and out of for years, paranormal investigators. All of a sudden they draw a crowd that, they're around the block standing in line to go in. Never see anything, but they go in anyway. I don't know. I don't think Halloween is anything like it used to be. I mean, you can actually really go out and scare somebody. Not anymore. You scare somebody now, they pull a gun on you, blow your brains out. It's just nuts. But I don't know. It's a lot of the reports that have been coming in are reports on things in the woods that they shouldn't be there. Like one area of Pennsylvania, which isn't far from where I live, the guy swears and declares that he was watching a bear, a black bear. Now, they've had black bears running around in downtown Reading, the city, but this area is like it's federal land, and those guys are out there patrolling 24/7. So when I called them, they said, "Yeah, I don't think so." So you got to keep going. I mean, there's so much stuff um, going on. UFO sightings. I must have 6 of those in the last 7-10 days, and you know the one guy especially, I really like when I hear from him, because he's up in way northeastern Pennsylvania. He's up above the coal regions, but he's been an amateur astrologist for many, many years. And he hooked up I think I told you about this before. He hooked up a really cool camera system. He's got 4 cameras mounted on a tripod deal with a bar and all that he made up. And they're all run into the house. So they're not running off a battery, they're running off electric. And he has like 3 gig cards in them or something like that. So, they'll run for pretty much ever. And he just lets them run 24/7. And he'll stop after a day or two and shut them down. Then he goes in and looks at all of them. And then he starts sending me, he cuts them on the CDs and sends me the CDs. And I'm going like, where do you live? What are you, Area 51? I mean, this guy's got stuff flying all over the place. Daylight, nighttime, it makes no difference. Might be 1, might be 10, might be 3 or 4, all different shapes. I'm going like, wow. But he lives on top of a mountain. There's only like 3 or 4 houses up there. And he's just, he's really getting some good stuff. But he will not get involved with any groups. I mean, normally people get that far into something, they're joining like MUFON or, some other group or whatever. But no, he's on his own. He's just his own little researcher. And I met him at a talk I was giving in New York.
Hello, Archie Manning here. When you grow up in a town like Drew, you understand, once a Mississippian, always a Mississippian. I love this place and care about what happens here. Our doctors are telling us 95% of new hospital patients who have COVID did not get vaccinated. We know the vaccine works, but only if you get it. It's easy and it works. Please get vaccinated, my friends, and stay healthy.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Jersey. And all of a sudden he just started sending me these CDs. I mean, I got like 40 or 50 of them. But it's amazing. I mean, some people can go forever, they never see one. And then there's people that see them all the time. And I was told a long time ago, and I don't even remember who told me, but it stuck with me. They said, if you see one good one, and there's more than one witness there besides yourself, you will see more in time. And they were right. They were right.
That always kind of goes down the whole road, Butch, of people who claim that they can summon UFOs.
Yeah.
Do you think people can summon, or do you think it's about being in the right place at the right time?
I think it's probably borders on dumb luck, because I can stand out on my back patio with really powerful binoculars, and I can search the night sky for hours and hours and hours. I'll see a lot of airplanes, a lot of stars and stuff like that, but I don't see anything else. I can go out to the front patio, and be standing there for 10 minutes, and one will come out of nowhere, and I'll watch it go from horizon to horizon. So I always joked with people when they ask me, how do you see a UFO? I always said, look up. But that's true. If you have a nice open area, I don't think there's going to be too many of them up in your area where you don't have any tree obstruction or light pollution or anything like that. But where I live now, I have no light pollution whatsoever. I mean, it wouldn't be for the lights that I have around the house, I'd probably go outside and walk into a tree or the side of the garage or something. I mean, it's just black. But and this is the time of year to start looking. When it gets cool and the skies are clear, starry, this is the time. And I'll be at this till February, March, maybe, probably mid-March. I'll be going out I go out every night.
Very cool. We don't have any trees blocking things here, man.
Oh, no?
The only light pollution I have around here is the moon or the northern lights when they show up.
Man, I'll tell you what. I would give my left arm to see the northern lights. I think
they were just out.
Yeah, I know. They're just so cool.
Well,
and
well, on that note, when we come back from break, Butch, I want to get you to tell us some of your spookiest encounters and cryptid investigations that you have done over the last number of years. Let's see if we can get you upset, too. I got to figure something out yet. My brain is moving, trying to get Butch Witkowski in Strange Days fired up here on Spaced Out Radio.
Okay.
All right, we're clear. I'm going to get you to turn your speakers down a little bit because do you have headphones?
Yeah.
Is there any way you can put your headphones on and turn your speakers down?
We tried them before. That didn't work so well.
Well, okay.
Just hang on a second. Let me do that.
All right, we'll give it a try.
How's that?
Better.
I can go lower.
As long as you can hear me, man, go as low as you can.
Oops. Okay. Say something.
Testing 1, 2, testing 1.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I hear you fine.
All right, perfect. No monsters, no trees. Well, the trees here are all burnt down, that's why. No, I'm teasing.
Oh.
I'm teasing. They aren't all burnt down. Steve Franchise, I am feeling much better. My only issue is I still have a little bit of a cough, but that's okay. I thought it was gone yesterday and the day before, and then it fired up again today. So, it's getting to be winter around here. I guess I got to start dressing warmer. Hey, Vintage Beard, what's happening, buddy? Good to have you back, my brother. Always a pleasure to see you. A Vintage Beard there. Look at that beard. Oh, that's nice. Very nice. Hey, Muse, how are you? Welcome to our channel. We went out looking for Sasquatch a week ago. In the middle of the night, man. Nothing.
I'm not that keen on going out at night looking for anything. I want to see something. I want to see it in the daylight.
You know what? We went out at 9 o'clock at night. We got out to the forest. It started pouring rain. Brooke Ehrenberg Doty, welcome to our channel for the first time. How are you? Thank you for joining us. And let's see. We went out at 9 o'clock at night. It was moist. It was damp. It was rainy. It was messy. And, all the animals were all huddled in. The only thing we saw that entire night, we were out there for 4 hours. The only thing, cruising the logging roads. The only thing we saw was one rabbit. One rabbit. That's not going to get it done, Butch.
No, but I've spent weekends out in all kind of weather and nothing. So, it is what it is. Sometimes you're lucky. Sometimes it's just a nice walk in the woods and eat a lot of hot dogs.
Oh, man. You know what? I've been dieting. Recently. Because I'm trying to get my health under control here. Hey, there's Eric with a K. You know, we are his third favorite show. Up until a couple weeks ago, we were number 4, but we're up to number 3 now. We're up to number 3. So welcome, Eric with a K. The Michael Leger is here, man. The Michael Leger. All right, now we got that out of the way. Yeah, I'm going to try and go out this weekend. Actually, not this weekend. I can't. I'm going down to visit my mom and dad. And so my mom's not doing very well right now. So I got to go check on her. I haven't been down to Lower Mainland, and God, it's a quick trip, just like going down there Saturday after my son's hockey practice and then coming right back up on Sunday so my son can go trick-or-treating.
Where are they at?
They are about an hour east of Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
The city where I was born, Abbotsford. So my mom's in hospital. She's been in hospital for about a week with some kidney problems. So I'm going to see her for the first time in a while here. Lone Wolf Wolverine, welcome to our channel. How are you? I want to say a big thank you to both Double Tim and Nicola for the amazing super chats. Remember, it's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. We really do appreciate all the love that you guys give us. If you're brand new here, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. Don't forget to shop for some swag on our website. Here we go. Kicking off the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Don't forget to check out the swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days continues right now, where Mr. Butch is here to tell us some of his spookiest stories that he has accumulated over the years of his research. His website, UFOcop.com. Mr. Butch, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you here. All right, let's get to it. You've got some spooky stories from over the years.
Hey, well, yeah, the paranormal stuff is the stuff that got me crazy, because I never got involved in that. And, you know, I got to know a group down in Reading, PA, and family operation. They've been at it for like 25 years. And I asked them I'd like to go along sometime on one of your investigations just to see how they do it, you know, what type of equipment they use and how they go about this. And it was a Friday night. We got there about 11 o'clock. The family left at 11:30. The sister of the homeowner stayed there. They had just moved in. It was we were about 2 weeks from Christmas. And they showed us around the house, you know, and I'm just following everybody. I'm just tagging along, you know. I have nothing to say or do. I'm there. And little guy, probably about 5, he runs over because they have a stack of gifts that are still wrapped. And, you know, some were unwrapped, but you could see there was a lot of them that are still wrapped. Well, he started digging in that, and then Mom saying like, no, we're going up to Aunt so-and-so. And he picks up this doll, and he pushes the little heart, and it, like in a little girl's voice, it says, "Will you play with me? Will you be my friend, etc., etc. And she says, no, just put it down and we'll unwrap it tomorrow, get it out for you, and you can play with it tomorrow. So he puts it on a rocking chair. I'm in the kitchen. I got relegated into watching the monitors, and they got, thermal imaging cameras and night vision cameras in every room of the house. I mean, they ran wires all over. I thought they were going to rewire the house. And there were people in every room of that house, from the attic down to the basement. Team of 2. So I'm sitting there next to the sister who I couldn't fit into my truck. I mean, she was a big girl. Big girl. I'm going to say it one more time. Big girl. So they're testing everything, and, their little radio, and you got that, Butch? Yep, okay. See anything, let us know, or if we see something, we'll let you know. And everything's recording, and so you really don't get to watch. So one of the issues was the daughter, who was about 13, she would go to bed and something would be pulling at her hair. So that was one thing. The other thing was noise coming out of the boys' room. That was the second thing. And the third thing was noise in the attic. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there next to the girl. And trust me, it's as close to Godzilla as I'll ever get. But so next thing I hear is this doll music. And the girl says, that's the doll. And I said, okay. So I'm like 4 foot away from the door where the doll is sitting on a chair. And I walk over, and it's not in a little girl's voice anymore. It's in a really deep voice, and it says, I see you. Well, at that point, Butch is on his way out the front door. Unfortunately, I got Godzilla that's got me by the belt, and I can't move an inch. I mean, I probably could have shot her and she wouldn't let go. I mean, I was just stuck there. So I got a hold of the guy, I got on the radio and told him what happened. And I said, did anybody get that on a recording? And the guy in the basement said, yeah, because he was right underneath me. The basement was right under the kitchen. He says, I got it. So he comes up, and we're all looking at the doll, and he starts pushing the button. Well, it doesn't say I see you. It just says these stupid things like, you want to play, you can be my friend, whatever. But it doesn't say I see you. Next thing, last line, but in the little girl's voice now, not in the really low voice, it says, I see you. And I'm like, oh man, I don't need this. This is nuts. So they got the doll laying on the table, and I picked it up, and I'm looking at it, and I put it right down. I went, that's it, I'm done. The guy said, what's the matter? I said, I'm done. I said, what does that say on the back of that box? He's there. I don't know. He turns it over. Batteries not included. Well, if the batteries ain't included, how is this thing even talking? And how would it change what it says? And he goes like, I have no idea. So put it aside. Everybody gets back to where they are. Me and the Godzilla chick are back where we were. And she says, would you like some soda? And I went like, no soda, please. I'm still trying to figure out how I could get out of the house without her grabbing me. And one of the other things it was, they had a light go on and off in the main bedroom, the parents' bedroom. So she said, look, the light's on. And I said, wasn't on a minute ago. She said, it's on now. Then it went off. Then it went on. Then it went off. Then it went on. Then it went off. I'm like, this is crazy. So I get on the radio and I call the guys that are up there on the second floor. And I said, the light's going off in the main bedroom. Well, they're in another bedroom, like down the hall just a little bit. So they go up and they said, do you have that on tape? And I said, yeah. I said, why? He says, And he picks up the cord and he's holding it in his hand. He said, I unplugged that light. I went, that's it. I'm out of here. This is nuts. You know, I had to go outside. It really shook me because this dumb stuff happened. How does a light go on when there's no power to it? It's not battery operated. It works off of 110. And, you know, and how does a doll talk with no batteries in it? And then, you know, with this gargantuan creature side of me scaring me to death. When she did get a soda, she poured it into a pitcher and drank that pitcher down like I'd down a shot of bourbon. I mean, she was wild, man. Whew. Then when she wanted my home address and phone number, no way, Jose, was that ever going to happen. I said, I live in a tent and I move around a lot. So I guess she got the message. But that was, and then that same group, I mean, it wasn't the group. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. And it was interesting to me to see how they did it. You know, they showed empathy to the people. They walked around. Everything was tested before it was turned on. So it wasn't, you know, and they had good equipment. It wasn't hodgepodge stuff. So they called me about 3 months later and to go up to Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. They asked if I wanted to go along. It was an old church. It was built in like late 1600s. And it's been refurbished a couple of times. So the benches are the same, where the minister talked up there, and the old organ. I mean, it was just the way it was over the years, and it was very well kept. So I said, so what are we doing here? And he said, well, we're just meeting here, but we're going out to the foundry. And I said, the foundry? Yeah, okay. So we walked down to the foundry, which is like a block and a half away. And I'm like, what are we looking for? He said, well, before this foundry was here, this was an Indian indigenous campsite for the winter. And I went like, yeah, okay. So again, I'm just there to see what they're doing. I'm not, you know, I don't know enough about this stuff. So there's a well there in the yard, and it's a very large industrial place, very old, built in 1900, but it was restored, and the main building was turned into a museum. But what they did was they made cannonballs for whoever was buying them. I mean, you know, they made them for ships, big ones, little ones, grape shot. They made it all. And so we're sitting down there. We've got a bunch of picnic benches out front, and we're sitting there, and I'm going like, okay. And I looked over at the one guy that was with us. And he was a friend of theirs. And I said, so what are we supposed to do now? And he goes like, well, they're going to cough up a spirit. I'm going like, here we go. So he gets a flashlight out. Now it's one of those little mini lights, you know, you twist it and it goes on. And he takes it and he turns it on, and he turns it off, and he sits it on top of this well, the stone well. And he starts asking questions. Is there anybody here? If you are, turn on the light. And I'm like, oh man, I've seen this on TV 150,000 times. They can't be doing this. Well, the light don't go on. Is this the scene of a battle? Was there a war here at one time? Well, then the light went on. I'm like, still ain't buying it. So he asked him another question, the light went off. He asked him another question, the light went on. I said, okay, hold it. Hold, guys, back up. So I get my little bag and I pull out my light. It's not a twist light, it's a button. So you push the button one time, the LED comes on. You push it a second time, it gets brighter. You push it a third time, it goes off. I said, let's use my light. No twisting, no, because I've heard that, you know, if you twist those things just right, any vibration will set the light off, right? And the guy was standing right there like, here's my keyboard, and here's the guy, you know, like right there's the light. So we put my light up there, and it's off. And he starts asking questions. When that friggin' light went on, I was ready to just buck out of there at 100 miles an hour because there was no
Hello, Archie Manning here. When you grow up in a town like Drew, you understand once a Mississippian, always a Mississippian. I love this place and care about what happens here. Our doctors are telling us 95% of new hospital patients who have COVID did not get vaccinated. We know the vaccine works, but only if you get it. It's easy and it works. Please get vaccinated, my friends, and stay healthy.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
No way that light went on without somebody hitting that switch. No way. I picked up the flashlight. I'm trying it myself, on, off. It's working fine. So he says, "Are you a believer yet?" I went like, "No." I said, this is crazy. I went with one more trip with him. And this was actually an indigenous family from Oklahoma that moved to Pottsville, Pennsylvania, because the daughter got a job, big time job at a bank, and she bought them a house, and then they moved in. Well, next thing you know, they're seeing all kind of black shadows in the kitchen. No place else, just the kitchen. Now, I mean, these people were, I forget what the whole mix of, they were Cherokee and something else. And I mean, you know, they were indigenous. I mean, they had the cards, and the guy had, you know, he had the warhead dress made out of eagle feathers and all that stuff. And he showed me the federal stamp that you got to have if you wear that stuff. And I'm like, okay. So he says, well, the real problem is in the basement. Here we go again. First, I'm going to a well. Then the second time, I'm going next to Godzilla. Now I'm going to head down into the basement. So down the basement we go. There's one light bulb, and it's probably about a 40 watter. It's at the other end of the basement. So when you walk out of the light, you're in the dark. I didn't have a flashlight on me. So I said, anybody got a flashlight? No, nobody had a flashlight. So I said, all right, what are we doing? And he said, well, wait, I'll get a light. So he went upstairs and comes down with one of these little portable lights. And he said, that's the problem. And I'm looking over and I'm going like, I don't see anything. He's there next to the washer and dryer. I look again, and there's an eagle feather stuck in the concrete. I mean, it's stuck in the concrete. And there was no hole there. It was stuck in the concrete. I tried to move it. It was in the concrete. I'm going like, okay, so what's with the feather? He says, I don't know. Wasn't here last week. I said, well, you have eagle feathers. That's an eagle feather. He says, yeah. He said, but I didn't put it in there. How would I put it in the concrete? I'm going like, oh, good question. I don't have a good answer. So I just backed up and let everybody else talk about it. So that was pretty much all the exciting craziness I went through. But the worst was Godzilla. She was the worst. She was the worst. Dave, I couldn't move. She had me by the belt, and I couldn't take a step. It was like it was like pulling a 400-pound whatever. I couldn't move. I'm like, okay.
You're getting me in so much trouble tonight.
Where stuff happens out there, everybody thinks you know everything about the paranormal. They think you know everything about bipedal. You know everything about UFOs. In all these years that I've been doing it, the little bit that we learned after thousands of reports, I mean, sometimes you sit there in my library and I'll look at these stacks of reports and file cabinets full of reports and CDs and tapes and everything else. And it'll always hit me the same way. Look, what do I really know? You know, what do I know? I can't say there's nothing flying in the sky because I've seen too many of those. I'm not set on the paranormal because I don't know. I just can't buy that for some reason. It just doesn't register in my head. But then when I think about the doll in the box, then it kind of levels me out a little bit. And then, the Indian deal with the lights and stuff like that. But so we spend all this time and money and effort and, drive all over the world. And really, we don't have a lot of answers. I mean, do I think Bigfoot exists? Yep. Do I think UFOs are real? Yep. Do I think there's things in the paranormal that are weird? Yep. But, bipedal canines? Yep. I mean, when you see something like with the bipedal canines, I think this thing is first sold me on them. I mean, when I got the first report, and I didn't do that kind of stuff. I only did UFOs. I had nothing to do with cryptids. I could have tripped over Bigfoot and wouldn't have known the difference. But when I got the first report and then the second report a few days later, and they were identical, but we're talking about this guy's at this end of the state, this guy's at this end of the state. Now, did they see the same thing? They must have, because they're both described them as the same. And then all the reports out of 61 reports that we have on the bipedal canine, not one has ever been different in description, mannerisms, excuse me, or what took place. I mean, it's all the same.
We got about 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break here. At the bottom of the hour, Butch Witkowski and Strange Days continues here on the mighty SOR. And Butch, I mean, I know you're not really a paranormal investigator per se. Do you still go out ghost hunting, though?
Every now and then. And usually I'm just asked along as like a guest. And if it's interesting, I'll go. One that made me kind of strange in the head when I went with this one group. There were lights seen in this house. Now, the property is a big house, main house, where people own it for a gazillion years. The whole family lives on 3 different houses on the same property. But at the end of the property, there's this one, not a small house, a 3-story home. And that was where the great-grandmother lived. And they never demolished it. Nobody ever lived in it after her, after she passed. And they would see lights in the house. Like somebody walking from the living room to the dining room. Or they'd see lights on the second floor go from one end of the house to the other. Just like somebody was in there with a flashlight. So they checked many times and, thinking somebody got into the house, but there was no break-in. They didn't bust in doors or anything like that. So I was just doing some background research, and I had found 3 reports of UFOs in that area, and damn near on the same street. So what I did was I got a hold of the guy and I said, "Did you ever see anything in the sky whenever these lights were going off and stuff like that?" And he went like, "No." So got a chance to go out there with those guys, and I went out and they had everybody inside, like they all do. And then this one guy was outside, and he was like taking care of the camera stuff and that kind of crap. And he goes, I looked at him, I said, like, when these lights go on, do you ever look up, see if there's anything in the sky? "Oh, well, why would I do that?" I said, "Well, it might be a good idea, So nothing happened that night. And they went up about 2 weeks later. And the guy called. He was all excited. I thought he was, losing his mind. He says, "We got photographs." I said, "Of what?" He said, "Lights on in the house, something in the sky." I went, "Really?" So they sent me the pictures, and I washed them and ran through them, make sure they weren't photoshopped and stuff. Yeah, lights on in the house, something's up in the sky. So when I say to people, I think it's all combined: cryptozoology, UFOs, paranormal. There's a connection there somewhere. It's all connected. It's got to be. There's just too many strange things that happen. It's like one guy with a gifting site. I think I told you about this, where he got a bunch of little toys and stuff from a Dollar General store. They got really bright stuff, bright, shiny, like chromy looking stuff. And he never saw anything in his research area, but he always had the feeling there was something there. So he put some in a tree, hung some this way, put some over on the other side of the road, this on the old fire trail. And he went back, I think in 30 days he went back, or less, a little less. Everything was just the opposite of where he put it. So this was hanging in a tree. It's now on the other side of the road. This was on a stump. It's on the other side of the road. Everything was backwards. And I went like, now that's cool. I mean, that's really cool. He said, I wasn't up here. He said, we had 3 foot of snow. He said, do you see any footprints around here? I went like, no. He said, you can't even walk up through here. So it's really strange how wound up you get into some of this stuff. And people say, oh, it's a piece of cake. Really? Try it. Try it. They can go with me. I'll take them along. But it's so many things that are related to each other, whether it's a paranormal, cryptozoology, or paranormal UFOs. But just like all this stuff that's going on out in Chicago with these flying, whatever they are.
Right. And on that note, Butch, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we do have to go to break here at the top of the hour. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days. Sometimes it's strange what old Butch says. And hopefully he's not out looking for Godzilla when we come back on Spaced Out Radio with the man, the myth, and the legend, Butch Witkowski from UFOcop.com. Stick around. We're going to find out Butch's craziest cryptid story heading into Halloween. It's all good. We're having a fun time here tonight with Butch Witkowski. It continues right after this. Damn it, man. Are you trying to give me a heart attack here or what?
Why?
I'm trying so hard to hold in my laughter because it's rude, man. Godzilla. My God. Holy cow.
I was being kind.
Oh, I could tell you were being kind.
How much time we got?
We got 6 minutes.
Good. I must go potty.
You go. Don't shake more than twice.
Oh, then I won't be back.
Yeah, we'll be back here in like 6 minutes, everyone. I'll stay here with you. Terry Brown, what's happening? I'm going to have to start putting up a warning for Butch Witkowski. My God. Simon Wales, good morning to you. By the way, if you're playing along at home, I'm at like 9.5 pounds down now in like 3 weeks. 9.5 pounds in 3 weeks. Charnotton, what's happening? Oh my God. You can't even see me, filth. Jay Foxhunter, what's happening?
Ah, I feel like a new woman.
Beautiful. You're looking good, too.
I looked a lot better before the heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
But I am losing weight, so.
So am I. 9.5 pounds, man.
I lost 10 even.
Nice.
Last doctor's visit, he went like, "You're going in the right direction." I said, "Next time I go down, I weigh 10 pounds too much."
No, I've totally changed my entire eating habits. Totally changed my entire eating habits.
I found that I just don't eat as much as I used to. I'm satisfied with a small breakfast and not like I used to.
All right. Let's see here. Mennonite Abe, is your next guest Dave Chappelle? No, we're not going down that road. Let's see here. Sherry, trim up the beard. Maybe it's just a goatee will take years and pounds off. Yeah, I gotta trim this up. I don't know. I'm in that debatable position right now. Hey, 416, how you doing? Hi, Co-Create Happy. How are you? Direk, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. I'm at that uncomfortable position now. Do I let it grow or do I trim it? I believe Butch has a dachshund. I think that's his dog of choice.
Yeah. He's 20 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And we've always that's all we ever had, dachshunds and Dobermans. But next time around, when this old fella takes the trip, I'm going to get a Malinois.
He'll go up against Dogman. They're not afraid of anything, those Malinois.
Mm-mm.
Hey, YJ Overlander, how you doing, buddy? And who else just came in? Joshua S., nice to see you. We got just over 1 minute here, buddy. The Bat Mom, the gorgeous Bat Mom is here. Chad Smith, hashtag moist. I can see that t-shirt coming. No, I'm not hitting Taco Bell for a while. I want to. Trust me, I'm weak. But I definitely need to continue shaving down the butter that's stuck in my stomach right now. So, yeah. Bizzler, what's happening? Haven't seen you in a while. All right. Big thank you to Spooky, to Double Tim and Nicola for the amazing super chats. It is a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much for the super chats, and we really do appreciate everyone who helps us on out that way. Of course, if you're brand new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. Gorgeous Sally Vandervoort, the Dutch princess, is back. I never really ate chocolate. I just gave up a lot of drinking sweets. Here we go, hour 2. Get your horns up.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for hanging on out with us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Macabre. Macabre is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Butch Witkowski and Strange Days. Butch joins us near the end of each month to talk about the Monsters of the Month, and that's where we are going right now. Butch's website is uforcop.com. Butch, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's move on to some cryptid monsters here, because I know you've chased down bipedal canines, you've chased down Bigfoot, and every banshee and gnome and troll in between, let alone Godzilla. So let's find out here, my friend, about you a little bit. Do you have a cryptid story that has really stuck with you, that kind of haunts you?
I would say there's two. The first one was actually the first report that I got. Like I said before, I didn't do anything like that. I was not involved in cryptozoology whatsoever. And I got this report, and the guy was just telling me the story, and I couldn't even think of something to say to him. I mean, it was just, he was taking his dogs for a walk. He lives up in Clearfield County, Pennsylvania. He's an ex-fighter pilot, retired commercial pilot, and he takes these two Weimaraners for a walk every day up the same little trail up from his house onto a game trail, and he just walks them up and walks them back. So he's walking in. He actually has a key for the gate. The cops up there gave him a key to get the gate because he's just walking his dog. And he opens the gate, and the dogs go nuts. They go absolutely freaky. They start ripping and tearing and carrying. They want to get away from him so bad that they're actually digging holes in the ground in front of him with their paws, trying to get away. And he figured, oh, well, it's a deer coming down through the woods, or, there's a skunk in there, or something's walking around in there. And he's just hanging on to the dogs. And the next thing he describes a bipedal canine that walks out from his right-hand side, crosses over the game trail, and goes into the other side into the woods.
Hello, Archie Manning here. When you grow up in a town like Drew, you understand, once a Mississippian, always a Mississippian. I love this place and care about what happens here. Our doctors are telling us 95% of new hospital patients who have COVID did not get vaccinated. We know the vaccine works, but only if you get it. It's easy and it works. Please get vaccinated, my friends, and stay healthy.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
So he was the one that gave us his first description of this thing, right? And I went like, wow. So we talked a little bit more, and he said, I'll call you back. He said, I want to get a couple guys and maybe, go out there with some guns. I'm going like, not a good idea. No. Mm-mm. And he said, what he found strange was, even that it was walking slow, it was like it never looked at him. It never looked at the dogs. I mean, I don't care who you are. You got two barking dogs trying to get to you. You're going to keep your eye on the dogs. He said, never moved its head, just walked straight across, like they weren't even there. I said, well, was he like, I thought, here we go. I said, was he like transparent or something? He went like, no, he wasn't. I'll call you back. And he hangs up. About 2 hours later, he calls me back. We're going to go out tomorrow and find that thing. I went, you don't want to do that. That's not really a brilliant idea. I said, you have no idea what you're dealing with. I said, if it's even real. Oh, I wasn't drunk. I said, I didn't say you were drunk. I'm just saying, figment of the imagination, or, Next day he goes out. He's got 3 of his buddies. They all got high-powered rifles. They all go up there and open the gate and go up the gate. And they go into the one side, the right-hand side, and walk in about 20, 30 yards. Nothing. they go over on the other side and walk in about 10 or 15 yards, and they all just stopped. And the guy says, we just looked at each other and like, we stay here, something bad is really going to happen. I mean, they all had the same thought at the same time. So they backed out all the way to their vehicles and left. So, like I said before, it's only a couple of weeks. I got another report in the same area. Same description. I mean, right on the money. I mean, I could take this one and it was verbatim. So I went, no, we got to get up there. We really got to get up there. So load everybody up in the trucks and off we go. Make arrangements with the people who have the property up there. And it's actually a huge Boy Scout camp, but it was closed because it was late September, early October. And we went up, and in the meantime, in that couple week period before we left, I did just digging as much as I could. Was I looking at something that's like Wolfman, or I didn't know. Was it a skinwalker? Figment of somebody's imagination. But then again, I got two guys with the same imagination, don't even live near each other, but they're in the same county. And where this guy saw his, he would have been on the mountainside of the camp, the first guy. The second guy would have been just on the other side of the mountain, which we could walk up and go over. It wasn't that far, quarter mile maybe. So we got there, and it was a full moon that weekend. It was cold. The park ranger was checking on us, and he was warning us about, we got black bear and we got coyotes and coy wolves, and he said, if you see them, if you've got a weapon, shoot them. He said, that's what we do. I'm like, okay, yeah, like we carry weapons. We do now. But so yeah, we were there for the whole weekend. The strangest part, and it really didn't hit me till Sunday morning. We were there Friday morning early, all day Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning I was sitting there drinking coffee. And it just dawned on me, I didn't hear a thing. Not an animal, didn't see an animal, nothing. It was just dead quiet. I mean, full moon, everything should have been moving around. Nothing, not a thing. So park ranger came up. We told him we were going to be leaving shortly, and he said, "Well, see anything, hear anything?" I said, "Nope." We had thermal imaging out, we had infrared cameras out, we had recorders out. We found nothing. But then again, I said, we didn't hear anything either. He said, yeah. He said, I was thinking about that last night. He was saying, I will not back to smoke a cigarette. He said, it's just dead quiet. And I said, well, there's one thing I learned over time. When it's dead quiet in the woods, there's something in there that everybody else is afraid of. And he says, did I tell you about the screams? And I'm like, oh, here we go. Oh, my God. I said, what screams? He said, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, which would have put it right in with the first report, time-wise. He said he heard something screaming over by the swamp. And I'm going like, okay. He said, never heard anything like that. And he said, I've been here for 12 years. He said, I've heard it all. Never heard anything like that. Okay. So everybody, our guys packed up. Everybody was getting ready to leave and stopped at his house, not the end of the road, said we were leaving, and made the turn, go out to the road, turning onto a big highway, big 4-lane highway, and my left arm was dead. I mean, dead. I couldn't move it. I had no feeling. It was just stone dead. I said something to the guy who was riding with me. I said, I can't move my arm. He said, what do you mean? I said, I can't move my arm. I mean, I couldn't lift it up. I couldn't make a fist. I couldn't do anything. So I made the turn right-handed and pulled over and was rubbing my arm and stuff, and it was dead. I mean, I couldn't feel my right hand touching my left hand. And then just like that, went away and everything was fine. So I had been in contact with Cherokee in Oklahoma because their skinwalkers are mainly always wolves in the shape, in the wolf features. And I told him about the arm, and he said, "You were warned." And I went like, "Oh boy, here we go. I'm warned. Oh, yeah. I don't need this. I should go back to being a cop. At least I know where somebody's going to shoot me. I'll know it." So we go on to the next one. And basically the same story, only this guy, it's not even a farm. I guess it was a farm many years back, but he just lives there with his wife and no kids. And he went out back to take the dog out and bring the dog back in. When he was out, that dog started going nuts, a German Shepherd. And he couldn't see anything. And he took the dog back in and he came walking back out. And he said, there it stood, right at the edge of the tree line, which from his back porch to that tree line was probably maybe 200 feet. Same description from top to bottom. I'm like, wow. So that was the start of it. And there's been 61 reports since. And then when I was doing background research and with the help of the Cherokees out there, who were very nice. I mean, I got to talk to the head banana and the medicine man and all this stuff, and they were telling me stories and what to look for, what not to look for. So I thought, well, I probably had two of that. I'll never hear about this again. 4 weeks later, I'm at a conference, right? I'm speaking at a conference. And this guy comes up to me. I know him for years. And he's a Bigfoot guy. He said, I saw some of your stuff on this bipedal canine. I said, yeah. I said, did you see one? He went, I don't know. So his wife comes over and we exchanged some pleasantries because she used to be in MUFON when I was there. I made her a state section director. And she said, this is going to sound weird, but she said, I'll just tell you the whole thing the way it happened. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting in the truck and she says, we take care of Boy Scouts, the Cub Scouts. We take them up to that same place you were at, mountain camp. And I went, okay. And she said, so my husband is up at the next campsite with his boys who are a little older. And she had the younger boys down at this campsite, which he said, 100 yards. He said, you were up there. He said, they're not that far apart. I said, yeah, probably 100 yards. So boys go to bed and, she gets ready to go to bed. She climbs into her sleeping bag and she hears somebody walking around out back of the tent. So she, of course, who's that? Anybody out there? This, that, and the other thing. Nothing. So that stops. Gets real quiet. Now there's somebody trying to unzip the tent. So she screams for her husband, and he zooms down there. And he's a big boy too. He gets down there. He said, "What are you screaming about?" She said, "Somebody tried to get into the tent." He's there. Who? She said, "I don't know. I didn't open up the tent." So they're standing there outside the tent talking, and this old guy walks up, definitely indigenous, and he says, "Is there a problem? Can I help you folks?" And the guy says, "Hey, who are you?" He said, "I'm the caretaker." "Oh, well, somebody tried to get into the tent." He says, "We never had that kind of problem before." And they converse a little bit, and she tells him what happened. And, he's just nodding his head. And he walks off, and the old boy gets one of the older kids to take care of the kids up above, and he stays with the wife. So the next morning, one of the park rangers, there's like 4 of them up there, but the one park ranger comes around, check on everybody, everything okay? And so she tells him the story. And he said, "We don't have a caretaker." "What do you look like?" And she said, "Well, he was definitely Indian. And long, greasy black hair." that set me right on, because when I was talking to the Cherokee, when a skinwalker is in human form, they're very unkempt. Hair is usually greasy, a lot of hair going way down their back, hairy arms, but I don't mean like Wolfman hairy, but dark hair. And I'm thinking like, oh boy, this is getting better every day. And so we told what we knew about them, and I shared my reports with the 2 park rangers out of the 4. And he said, I'll keep my eyes open. I says, you may not want to take a shot at them. From what I'm getting, that's only going to make them a little upset. And I said, I don't think you want to upset one of these things. So till this day, out of all the reports that we went out on, those 2 will probably stick with me till I die, because they were very credible. Again, when I was back home working on background research, I found a report from, it was 1768 in the Erie, I think it was the Erie Gazette or the Erie Error or something like that, a newspaper, and where a guy that was tending his sheep, and one of these things attacked the sheep, and he took a shot at it and missed, and off it ran. But he goes back to town, and he goes to the constable, because they didn't have police back then, just constable. And he was talking to the constable and gave his description of this thing. I could take that description, and ones that I have went like that, and they're identical. Identical, size, shape, color, everything. Eyes, arms, everything. So do I believe there's something out there? Yeah. I have no idea what it is. I mean, I named it the bipedal canine because it's never been seen on 4 legs, ever. So it's not Dogman, because Dogman's seen with fluffy white fur and big ears and long tails, and this thing is nothing like that. And the other one, I think that both Lon and I thought was extremely weird. We had a guy in a tree stand, deer season, and a couple deer run out from a grassy knoll at a field where he was overlooking the field, and he picks up his rifle and he's looking through the scope. Well, the one deer just kind of walks over to a pile of bushes. He's just standing there, and the other deer is just stopped dead in the middle of the field. And next thing he sees, his description was a very large wolf with a hump on its back. And then another one came out of the woods, and the one that came out of the woods went chasing after the one deer that was standing over by the bush. So he disappeared. So the guy is looking through his scope, and he's ready to pull the trigger on it, and it turns around and looks at him because he was downwind of it. Next thing you know, it's at the bottom of a tree that he's in, and it's growling at him. And he said, I never seen anything like that in my life. He said, do you know what a hyena looks like? And I said, yeah. He says, make it a lot bigger and put a hump on it and make it look more like a wolf. And that's what it looked like. I went okay. So he left there and went up to the Game Commission, which was about 3 miles up the road. They had an office. Told them, and of course they said, it's just a big dog. We got a couple of them running around there. Probably a big Great Dane or something got away on somebody. And this guy said, wasn't no dog. And he hasn't been back there since. And he's been up there all his life. He said, I ain't going back there. Because he was going to pull the trigger on it. And just like we had with so many people that encountered these things with weapons, he just has it in his head. You pull this trigger, you're in big trouble. This is not going to be good. And they all walked away without firing a shot, every one of them. And they, even the one guy was actually a Game Commission guy. He was carrying a 40 Glock. So I don't know what they are. But pretty much settled on the fact that they are what they are, and they're out there. But the other thing that is kind of weird to me anyway, our lichen loop, which is what we call it, is our research area, which is 155 miles length, 80 miles wide. I have no reports outside that loop, not one. But inside that loop, we have 12 large parks, state parks. And that's where we're at.
We got just under 2 minutes left before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Butch, when you hear this story of this giant wolf-like creature walking around on two legs, does it walk with its legs like a human's, where the knees are in the front or the knees in the back?
No, they're hocked like a dog.
Have you seen any credible pictures of this creature?
What we did to get a better idea what we were looking for was I took the first 7 reports and I shipped them out to Montana to a FBI dude that I met years ago. And he was an artist. We did their sketches and stuff. I didn't tell him anything about the reports. All I sent to him was 7 descriptions. And I said, show me what it looks like. And he did. And I showed it to folks that made the report, and they said, that's him. That's it. That's what he looks like.
But nobody's caught him on camera yet.
No. His actual mode of operation is like people have been walking, people have been hunting, and he'll walk out of the woods and just stare at them. Only one time, besides the guy in the tree, and the description there was those creatures were on 4 legs, but it was 3 couples that live in the same area, and they have a walking path that goes through a little wooded area, and they were going out for a walk.
Save that story. Okay. For when we get back from the break. We'll continue with bipedal canines. Butch Witkowski, UFOrcop.com. Strange Days, which happens all the time here on Spaced Out Radio near the end of each month. Butch graces our airwaves with his knowledge and his candor. We'll be back with your questions as well on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned. All right, we're clear.
What do we got?
We got 5 minutes. Zune, how you doing? Good morning, Tony D in the UK.
You're right back.
Yeah, not a problem, Butchie. She's my Butchie Pie. Cool drink of water straight to his thighs. I'm just singing, Butch. Yeah, UFOrcop.com got taken down, Chad. I believe by a hacker, and they let the domain name go. He's got to rebuild it. Mama Susan, nobody knows where Vinny is. Hi, Sasquatch. How you doing, man? Got that chat room on lock right now. So, all right, let's see. Yeah, nobody knows where Vinny just vanished.
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Whether you're in person, distance, or hybrid learning, small schools to large districts rely on Jamf School to help them remotely set up, manage, and secure Apple devices. Let Jamf help take care of your Apple devices so you can take care of your students. Take Jamf School for a test drive with a free 30-day trial today. Visit jamf.com/school. That's JAMF.com/school.
Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich was good. Hey, Gary, you're Dutch. Very, very Dutch. And we should let you know that Gary is the owner of Mighty Moose Beard Oil. I can try this out. I got my True North blend right here, hanging on out. You know, the one way to piss off a Dutchman is literally by asking him for a discount. You want to see a Dutchman turn red and get ready for fighting words? You can insult his sister. You can insult his mother. But the minute you ask for a discount, the war is on. Go to MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR 2019. You just drop it right in your hands like so. All right? Put that back in so it doesn't spill. Rub it into your hands and just massage it in. That's it. Just massage it in. I tell you, it smells great. It's all natural. No chemicals. And then you still got some on your hands. You just rub it through your hair like this. And you push it on through. It helps with split ends. It's good for the ladies, too. All right, MightyMooseBeard.com. Butch doesn't need any. Doesn't have any hair. His goatee's too short. All right? Tell him Dave sent you. It's by using promo code SOR 2019. It'll piss him right off. Gary will be upset because he's now got to give you a discount. But go to MightyMooseBeard.com. And with Christmas coming up in just a couple of months, it's a good thing to get as a present. Cheap, too. Remember, if you're in the U.S., you're paying Canadian dollars. Canadian dollars. That's what I'm saying. MightyMooseBeard.com. Gary's Dutch. Good job, Chad Smith. I can see Bob Birkin's back into the Aqua Velva again. Drinking it, not wearing it. Mm-hmm. Hey, Butch. How you doing?
Good.
The gorgeous Julie Wheeler has returned. We've got about 35 seconds. We're working on it, Zune. We're working on it. Hey, big thank you to Spooky, to Tim and Nicola for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support our show on a nightly basis, and we really do appreciate every donation we get through the super chat, so thank you so much. Thank you to all our brand new subscribers. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up or thumbs down. We're at 100 thumbs up right now, and here we go with the second half of the show. Get ready. We pass the halfway point on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you all with us. My name is Dave Scott. Really appreciate you tuning us in. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/ /Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read up on Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Twitter @SpacedOutRadio, and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Butch Witkowski's Strange Days. And right before the break, we were talking about dogmen, bipedal canines, monsters leading up to Halloween. And Butch, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. You were telling us a story about this bipedal canine.
I don't know if you can see this. I went and got it.
What is it?
That's what I'm looking for.
So describe that for our radio audience.
8 foot tall, massive chest, massive arms, very muscular. Hands, not paws. Thin-waisted, heavy-thighed, hawk legs like a dog. And we had a cast made up of him. And that's what he looks like. Oop.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That is
And
amazing.
every report, Dave, not just one or two, every report, same thing. 8 foot tall, glowing yellow eyes, fangs.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Mm-mm.
Very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird.
And it's funny, we don't get a lot of reports in the wintertime. It's mostly like spring, midsummer. But a lot of the growth is coming back, so they're easy to hide.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of audience questions lined up for you now.
Okay.
All right, let's start off on our Spreaker chat where Derek is asking if there's any updates on the Todd Seas case.
No, we're still looking for the son. Haven't been able to find him.
Do you know if he's alive?
We don't know. He just kind of vanished. Or moved out of state.
Very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange. All right, let's move on here. Jeff wants to know, have you seen any good trail cam footage of monsters lately?
No. There are very few people that use trail cams. We don't use them. Our trail cameras are actually security cameras. So now we just got 2 wireless where we can be back wherever we're parked, and have our camp set up, and we can watch them on a computer. We haven't had those out yet, but it's so strange to me that nobody can get, well, every time this thing was encountered, these people were taking a walk, they were hunting, nothing where they were, setting up to try to catch the thing. Here's the weird part. It was seen and witnessed by 2 different people at the same time up on Route 222, which is in the center of the state. And it was eating a deer carcass alongside the road. So I don't know if creatures from another realm have to eat. And we have 2 reports where when headlights from a vehicle hit as it was crossing a road, or one time it was crossing a backlogging road when the lights hit, both people said, and they were a couple months apart, but they said that it looked like it had a glowing aura around the outline of it. That's the only two we got like that. So are we dealing with something supernatural, or is it a real flesh and blood creature? I don't know.
All right, let's get to Nicola. Nicola is asking, you mentioned Mothman. Anything new on the Chicago Mothman?
There, in the last few weeks, there have been a couple flurry of reports. I know the witnesses are being interviewed by the team out there. If you're looking for an up-to-date update, go to Phantoms and Monsters website, and that's what it's called, .com. And Lon Strickler publishes every day the reports. So if you want something up to date, that's where you'll find it. Just go under, when you go onto the website on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, you'll see cases that are under investigation. And you'll see there the Chicago Phantom, they call it.
All right, let's move on to a new question here. RB is asking, Butch, have you ever investigated the hairy man in North and South Carolina?
No. I read about it, but I've never investigated it. No.
Has anything new come out about that young lad who was kidnapped by the teddy bear?
No. I look at that every now and then. The same thing with the woman that was killed in that area. So nothing on that either. They still don't know what killed her. They have no idea. DNA that was found matches nothing they know of. And it wasn't dogs. I mean, she was really tore up pretty bad.
Out of any of the cryptid creatures, and I know you'll say the bipedal canine, but I want to leave that one out. What's the most dangerous we're dealing with here?
I would probably say it's kind of a toss-up between Bigfoot and the bipedal canine. There aren't many reports of Bigfoot causing injuries or death, but there are reports. And I guess the one that's most looked at was a couple hunters, I guess mountain men at that point, who were out checking their traps. And the one guy was making supper, and the other guy said, well, I'll go check the traps. And he took the two dogs that they had with him. And he came back, and this guy was just ripped to shreds. He wasn't eaten, so it wasn't a bear. A bear eats you. A bear will eat you. And the two dogs got a scent, and they took off. And he found the one was just destroyed, and the other one was hurt pretty bad. So he loaded him up, and they got in the canoe and took off and brought people back, and they found big footprints.
How come we don't hear more stories about Sasquatch or other cryptids harming people?
A lot of the reports that I've read over time, including people killed by wolves and stuff like that, go back way back. But they're always in these areas where there's nothing. It's not like downtown Detroit. It's usually in some backwoods, swamp area, mountainous area. They're either hunting or, like the one hunter. And I kind of think that was in Maine. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure it was Maine. And it around the 40s, 42, 43. Guy was out hunting and didn't come back, and they sent out a search party to hunt him down, and they couldn't find him. And then when they did find him, which was like a week later, he was just piece by piece, like arms were ripped off, legs were ripped off, head was ripped. He was just taken apart. And he was still laying there. He wasn't eating. Now, if you find a carcass like that, and it's all chewed up, it was a bear. And no doubt about it. It was a bear. Mountain lions, they only go for the gut area. I mean, they're not going to tear apart a whole, like a bear would, but I don't know. All I know is when we go out, we're very, very careful, and we do not go out alone. I mean, there's plenty of guys that back up, and we have plenty of things that'll keep us safe if they work. I'm afraid to pull the trigger on a couple of them, thinking like, I'm just going to really get this guy upset. You know what I mean? So I always carry 2 tennis balls, which I'll throw and yell, fetch. Then I'm going the other way. And I always take somebody with me that's slower than I am.
I don't blame you. Me too. That's why I have my buddy Mark. All right, Tony D in the UK. Butch, have you ever gone to another country to investigate cryptids?
I was invited to England a couple times now. I just, after the heart attack, I just don't have the time or the wherewithal to do it. But they have their share. They have their share.
I just want to give recognition to Kaiju here, who asked a question about any cryptid encounters where people were attacked. Out of the ones, do we hear a lot of Dogman or the bipedal canine going after people? Did they have any victims yet?
No victims. Well, there were in past history, there were people that turned up missing that were found much later. There were people that were seen taken. They were usually children, but that they were in the 18th century mostly, and out west. So these things are not confined to just Pennsylvania. We may have one that is in our Lichen Loop, but they've been seen, or descriptions are pretty much the same. They've been seen in Oklahoma. They've been seen in Texas. They've been seen in Montana. They've been seen in Wyoming. But the descriptions are still the same. They don't change. Just don't change. That's the part that's scary. I mean, if these things are running around, where are they from? What are they? We always get somebody that says, well, they're extraterrestrial. Well, I'm thinking like, I don't think so. Are they something from the past? I mean, there are, you have a lot of stories of Bigfoot where they're described more looking like a Neanderthal man than an ape. A lot of those reports. They're describing, features that a man would have or a woman would have.
All right, let's move on to another one here from Kaiju. Butch, what do you think these cryptids are? Where do you think they come from?
To be honest, I think they've been around for a long time, because, the reports, when you go backwards, which is, I tell every investigator before you go forward, go backwards. And the reports go way back. I mean, you got things like this running around back in Roman times. Now, I'm sure they didn't keep records like we do, but I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know where they're from.
Do you think they are of our creation?
No. Mm-mm. No. When you look at them, it's like they're built for what they do. And, what do they do? I mean, they found deer carcasses that were picked clean. The only thing laying there was a hide and bones. That was it. I mean, there wasn't a speck of meat on them. We have one of the things we look for when we come across cadavers like that is, especially with bones, which we'll take, the bite mark, because the bite mark on a standard wolf, a timber wolf, that Canadian gray, would be way different than this guy. He'd be way larger in bite mark. And I have a bone in the library right now that I've been looking at under the microscope. I'm just not ready to pronounce it as a wolf or something bigger, because it could have been back in this area here, which would be the wider part of the teeth. But something like that would snap a bone in half. I mean, you're talking about something that'll pretty much kill and eat anything.
I can see that. I can totally see that. All right. Let's move on here, as we got a few minutes before we got to go to break here. So let's go to Gary the Dutchman. Why is it that there are no clear pictures of any creatures or UFO? They are always blurry, Butch.
Cheap cameras. No. UFOs are very hard to get pictures of, only because of the speed. Now, in Area 51, they have, I can't pronounce what they're called, but it's a low-speed camera. So it's taken maybe 30 shots in less than a second. So it slows down everything. Now, some of those pictures have gone out over the years, and they're public. The gun cameras from the F-18s that were recent, they're so fast. And these things, whether it's Bigfoot or this guy, I mean, they're in the woods. I mean, I must have a dozen or two pictures of people that say, Bigfoot, no, tree, or vines hanging off a tree, or a tree that's half rotted out on the other side of a river, and the guy's taking it with his camera phone. And I always tell people, it's good to take a camera and a phone with you when you go out and do this stuff. Don't rely on it.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more. At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
On it for pictures. Get yourself a decent camera. They're not that expensive. I mean, you can buy them used. I mean, it just can't figure it. Bigfoot's different because it can't. There's one case of Bigfoot. The guy's a professional photographer, and he's out in. Matter of fact, he was born in British Columbia. He lives in Montana, and he runs a lodge, ski lodge or something. But he's a professional photographer. This guy has equipment. I mean, he's got cameras I never even heard of. I mean, they got lenses on them that are that big. But he has an area that he goes to that he's had a lot of noises, a lot of foot stomping, tree knocking, blood curdling cries, and all that stuff. And it comes from a certain area. So he's on one side of this field, not a field, but just one clear area on this mountain where he sets up. And he took a picture that's on the other side of this tree line. You can see a shadow, and for lack of better terms, there's something there, and it looks like a man, but very tall. And he does that when he puts a tape up to the tree, so you see he's looking at something that was 10 foot tall. The leaves, you can see every mark on the leaf at that distance. The guy in the middle, it just all blurred out. Now, can they do that? We don't know. I mean, look at these folks that say, they got a gun, they got a creature like that standing in front of them. They could easily pop him, but they all have the same thing in their head that don't do it. You're going to lose. So does it already know it's warning you? Why would it even warn you? Why would it just not attack?
Do you think they maybe have some sort of, I don't even know how to put it, just some sort of ability naturally to blur themselves?
They could. Yeah, sure they could. Why not? They could. We don't, for all we know, over all these years, 50 some years of Bigfoot, we know so little. You could put what we know about Bigfoot in an envelope, a small envelope. These things, now I know there's groups out there that do the dogman thing, but this is not dogman. This thing has never been seen on all fours, ever. And it doesn't have a tail. Dogmen are smaller. They're on all fours, big floppy ears, multicolored. These guys are so dark a brown they're almost black in color. Dogmen always have glowing red eyes. Well, these guys, every description we have is glowing yellow eyes. So there's a difference there. I know people like to combine them and say they're the same creature, but they're not. They're not even close.
All right, let's move on here as we got about 90 seconds. Zune wants to know, Butch, any updates on rake or Wendigo sightings?
I have a camera out now in a park on a rake case. Wendigos, I mean, there have been some reports in Maryland and Delaware on those things a few years back. I haven't had any here in Pennsylvania or any around me. Wendigo is just another name for skinwalker. Only they eat the dead. Now, you mentioned Wendigo to any of the indigenous tribes out west. They freak. They just freak. Because every now and then they'll turn up a body, somebody that's been missing, for quite a while, and they'll find a body that's like half eaten and in a garbage dumpster. Now, an animal is not going to put your body in a garbage dumpster.
Very true. Very true. That is odd, Butch.
Mm-hmm.
Very odd. I don't get some of this stuff, man. Really do not forget some of this stuff. But it's the way it is. It's all part of the mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Rake sightings, I mean, we've had those in Pennsylvania for years. The one that I have the camera out on down in at the state park, I mean, it's been seen by 3 different people. There have been reports to the park police. So
see where it goes. Butch, I'm going to get you to hold on. We got Butch Witkowski for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Then the fedora-wearing John Hudson comes in for the UFO report. Butch Witkowski in hour 3 next. All right, buddy, we're clear.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
You're weird.
Well, yeah, we all know that.
All right, move there. Give me 2 seconds here, buddy. right. That'll be our next question. Just kind of trying to catch up here. I'm way behind in the chat room right now. All right, we'll start from there. Let's see here. William Ipong, welcome to our chat room. Who else? I'm caught up there. Good. I'm caught up. God, I'm hungry right now. Excuse me, Butch. Noble Patrick, thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. And thank you also to Nicola, to Double Tim, and Spooky for the super chats. It's a great way to really support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Thank you so much to everybody. Really do appreciate that. Excuse me. Keep your questions coming. I will get them to Butch. You're awfully quiet over there, Mr. B.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the questions.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Out of the blue, I just got hungry. I had a great chicken salad for dinner tonight, too. Now I'm starving.
That's what I had for lunch today.
Let's see here. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. Oh, I will eat when I get upstairs. I have an apple with my name on it. See, what you don't know about Dave is Dave really likes apples. Dave really likes apples. And Dave's also enjoying the loss of weight. Not allowed to eat bananas. Oh, there's Eric with a K, part 2. We are his third favorite show. We're number 3. Back in medal contention after 4 years. I actually enjoy celery and peanut butter. Celery and peanut butter is really good. It's only Monday. Wow. No, Dave doesn't have an apple tree in his yard. Hey, there's Super Lou, wearing nothing but very, very thin underwear and a red cape to go along with his perfectly coiffed mustache. The only superhero who still uses Brill cream in his hair. Love you, Lou Jimenez. Oh, man. I hate it when I laugh at my own stupidity. I do. The only bread I'm allowed is sourdough. All right. Thank you to all of our brand new subscribers here. Thank you to our super chatters. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. And, of course, a big thank you to all our regulars who are here and all the veterans who have tuned us on in. We really do appreciate it and really love you guys. So come on back here as we got hour number 3 kicking off here in about 5 seconds. And we're going to enjoy it a lot here. So let's do this thing right now.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now kicked off. My name is Dave Chernich. Dave Scott. I almost gave my real last name there for a second. Oops. And I guess I got to learn how to talk on radio again. And I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Macabre. Macabre is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we say hello to Butch Witkowski, UF4Cop.com. His team is out looking for monsters all around the Pennsylvania and eastern United States and North America. Butch, welcome back.
Yes, sir.
Let's get right to the questions here. Sasquatch is asking, what are your thoughts on the multiple sightings of white Bigfoot around the Salt Forks area in Ohio?
I read 2 of those reports, and we only had one report in our western Pennsylvania area of a light-colored Bigfoot. But that was about, 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. But I know there were some reports out of Salt Fork. But I don't know if anybody's out looking for them.
All right, moving on, because we're going to burn through a bunch of these. Nicola is asking, Butch, is it true that there are stories of St. Christopher being a dog man?
Not that I know of, no. I never heard anything like that.
Phil wants to know, have any drones been used at all for sightings?
Yeah. Yeah, that started coming big time about 2 years ago. And now, these things, you can get them with LiDAR on them. You can get them with infrared thermal imaging. I mean, they've come a long way. But we have a thing here in Pennsylvania where you have to be trained by the FAA to fly one.
Kaiju wants to know if you've heard about any government involvement or cover-ups regarding cryptid encounters.
The military one, when Mount St. Helens went up, where they say they recovered a wounded Bigfoot. That's the only one I know of. Then the government said, no, we didn't do it. But there were other people there that said, yeah, they did.
I can totally see that. Okay, moving on. Game Vet is asking, any sightings of an overgrown muscular wolf with glowing red eyes? What is it?
All our reports are glowing yellow eyes. Again, the dog man, they're usually reported with glowing red eyes. And, a very large dog. I mean, a friend of mine has a 170-pound German Shepherd. And if you hit any dog with light in their eyes, they'll shine red.
Right. Do you notice a migration area of these creatures? Are they moving, or are they staying in their areas?
They're pretty much staying in their areas because there are researchers out west that, like us, they've been doing the same thing, just staying in a certain area. And I don't know of anything migrating. At least nobody's mentioned it anyway.
Shar is asking, and I think she's talking about the 1999 incident in northern Nevada about the Bigfoot in the fires.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Did that just get swept under the rug, or was that just a fable?
In the very beginning of that, there was not a whole lot of writing on it, on what they thought, but you had one group that was saying it was a fable, and the other group saying it was the real deal. So, unless you really know the case inside out, that's when you're going to make your determination.
So, what was that case?
It was, your standard brush fire that happens out west all the time, desert fire, whatever you want to call it. And there was allegedly, I don't remember if it was one or two dead Bigfoot were found, burned up.
My goodness. I could just imagine what that would be like. Now, didn't one allegedly come out of the forest almost seeking medical attention?
Yeah, that was Mount St. Helens. Yeah, and the military, the police took care of it, but then the military came and scoffed up on him and took him away. But he was actually treated by EMS.
Do you think the government is purposefully hiding these creatures?
Yeah, I do.
What would be the purpose?
I couldn't answer that, but there are stories that go way back. I mean, even Lon's, story with Lon's sighting, where, he saw that thing while he was fishing until he got to the phone and called the police and went back. Half the United States Army was there. So they were there. They couldn't have been there in that short a time. He said the phone was only a mile away. So they were out looking for that, whatever it was.
What would be the purpose of the government hiding these creatures? That's the one I don't get.
And I don't think I'd even have a good answer for that, because, what would they gain unless, like the Nazis in World War II, were trying to combine apes with humans to make super soldiers. I gave up trying to figure out what the government does. There's so many stupid things they do, it makes me crazy.
No, I understand that, and I can appreciate that. But do you think it's about, how can I put it? Do you think that maybe that leads to the idea that maybe these creatures are not from here?
Could be, sure. Like I said, over 50 years now, we don't really know a whole lot about them at all. I mean, there's a lot of suspicions, but suspicions don't cut it. You need evidence.
Hello, Archie Manning here. When you grow up in a town like Drew, you understand once a Mississippian, always a Mississippian. I love this place and care about what happens here. Our doctors are telling us 95% of new hospital patients who have COVID did not get vaccinated. We know the vaccine works, but only if you get it. It's easy and it works. Please get vaccinated, my friends, and stay healthy.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
With MailChimp, you get a whole lot more than a URL. You get an all-in-one marketing platform to help drive sales. That means you can connect your data to make more informed, smarter decisions. And you get powerful automation tools like our Customer Journey Builder to ensure you never miss an opportunity to turn shoppers into loyal customers. So if you're ready to integrate your marketing and boost sales, get started today at MailChimp.com/smartmarketing. MailChimp, built for growing businesses.
Why haven't we found a body in all these years? Talk to some people that are into the Bigfoot, and they say, well, they bury their dead like we do. Then there's others that say, well, they eat them. Okay, I don't have an answer for it, but I'm one of those guys that'll tell you I know a heck of a lot more about this bipedal canine than I do Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. It is one of those strange cases. Let's go to Purpose and Grace, who's asking, were national parks intentional for hiding cryptids?
I've heard that before. There was I think it was Wyoming, where there was a private land that was given to the government. And the next thing you know, they were in there planting trees, and and it was not being made for the public. You know what I mean? It was just, there was water, there were places that that you could get out of the weather and stuff like that. And the one researcher out there said, I think they built it for the cryptids. He said nobody's going to go camp there. He said it's rocky, it's uneven. Why would they plant trees in there? But then that's the government.
So that always leads, when you talk about national parks, about the missing people and the missing 411 cases. When you look at those, does it surprise you then that so many of these cryptid creatures are seen in these areas where people go missing?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. When you read the 411 books, it just sets you right back. Just crazy. I mean, the ones that kill me are where somebody's missing, they're found, or they're not found, but their clothing is like all neatly folded and set aside, and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's some crazed mountain man running around up there, or is it something else?
One of the theories that a lot of these people who go missing, Butch, is that there are feral people living up in the mountains and don't want to be disturbed. They don't want anything to do with regular society, and their hatred for people has almost turned them cannibalistic or into serial type killers. What have you studied in on that?
There are a couple of cases of that where people talked about groups of people living in areas that nobody in their right mind would live in, that they just don't go near. They just stay away from it. And the police don't even go in there. And there have been, people that have gone into these areas hiking, and that's the last they see of them. They're never found. But the disappearing humans on this planet, that's a daily occurrence.
Do you agree with the whole feral people scenario?
Oh, I think you could have groups of people living out like that. Where was that one group in Oklahoma? It was a family, 12 members in the family. They were all inbred, the whole 9 yards. but they lived out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, people knew where they were and they wouldn't go out there. I mean, nobody would go out there. But, you know, the whole clan had an IQ of about 6. But they've been there forever. People remember them from the early 1900s.
Which direction should we be looking at, Butch? If the current ways we investigate, whether it's paranormal, UFOs, or cryptids, which ways should we be changing our look at investigation in order to try and solve some of these mysteries?
I think one of the biggest things is trying to get people to, when they get a report, to, before they even get into it, right, to go backwards to see if that particular area or if they can find cases that match what they got. It's when you get a case and you jump in your car and you go out and investigate it, you missed the part where it said there were 5 sightings there last year, you know, or, you know, somebody got some evidence or something like that, or they, you know, they found something at a construction site that wasn't right, or, you know, an old building. And there's just so many things historically that actually put you on the right track, you know. So when you go out, you already know the lay of the land, you know what was there, you know why it was there, you know what the building was, or you knew what the town was, why they left, you know, what they did. And it's hard to tell people to do that, because when they get a report, you know, it's like somebody yelling fire in a theater, man. They're off and running, you know, but they're gone to investigate something that they know very little about. They have no background on it. Now, that's what I'll give the paranormal people, and I will give them that credit. Before they go out, they will, people that I know anyway, they'll do background searches on the property. They'll go back as far as they can, you know, with the county records, who lived there, anybody died there, was there a murder in the area, was this house built on top of a cemetery? You know, they get all that information before they even go. Where most investigators that do that, you know, they get the report and they're out in their car in 15 minutes. Not good.
Phil wants to know if you've ever found any of these species scat.
No. Mm-mm. But I you know, if you go on the fact that they could be an animal of some type, I would imagine the scat would be like a wolf.
I don't think Sasquatch would. I think that'd be more bear-like.
Yeah, probably.
Depending on where it's located and what it's eating at that point. But getting back to the investigative techniques here, everybody seems to do the same thing. Get a camera, get a digital voice recorder, get a digital, you know, maybe some sort of trail cam. What are we missing? What's the game changer?
I think the game changer is LiDAR. You know, that's very expensive. But, you know, put it on a drone, you can fly over an area and then come back, sit down and remove the trees. And, you know, you can see what's under the trees, you know, buildings. I mean, they've been using it now in Peru and in the Aztec areas in Mexico and stuff like that, where they found 1,000 buildings they didn't even know were there with LiDAR. 1,000 buildings, and they didn't know they were there. That's amazing.
Do you look at it as we got about 5 minutes left? You know, I mean, that technology is pretty much out of the price range for most people out there regarding this. So with current financial status in tow, is there any way to change from what we have? Even the technique, Butch. Doesn't have to be about gear, but the technique.
In technique, I would say that being well versed in what you're looking for and looking for stuff that shouldn't be there. I mean, it's a little hard to explain to people, but if say you're in an old building up in northern Pennsylvania, and it's kind of everything looks alike, and you're getting bored, but one of your guys comes over and says, "Look at those scratches on the wall." Wasn't what you were looking for, but that's what you should have been looking for, stuff that shouldn't belong there.
I can't even find something that does belong there. And I'm looking.
That's gotta keep doing it. Gotta keep looking.
Purpose and Grace is asking, does a certain season tend to have a majority of sightings of UFOs or cryptids?
No, UFOs are year round. Cryptids, most of the reports, like I said before, are September, October, November, December, and then they'll peak off from like mid-December till April or May, and then they'll start getting them again.
So wouldn't that have to do with the migration of animals like deer?
No, I'd still, there's no evidence of any migration. No, there's nothing.
But the food source is moving. Like where deer are in the summer are not where they are in the fall or winter.
I live in a gated community, and I have deer walking through my backyard all the time. Summer, winter, makes no difference. They're there. Turkeys.
I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah.
You turkey. That's okay. We've only got about 2 minutes left here, Butch, with you. And once again, it is a wonderful night to have you back on the radio, and hard to believe we only get you 2 more times before the end of 2021. Where can people get a hold of you? And I know we've had some questions in the chat rooms tonight about your website being down as well.
Yes. Yeah, we're switching over to .org. We're redoing the whole thing. To get a hold of me, Facebook, Twitter, either under my name, Butch Witkowski, or UFO Research Center of Pennsylvania, your Fort Cop, they're all on there. Or the blog. You can go on the blog. And that's on Facebook. Just click on that. It'll take you right to the blog.
Well, we appreciate that, man. It's always so much fun when you are on the show. It really is. I mean, you're one of those people we actually like around here. And thank you for introducing us to Godzilla tonight.
Boy, that's a nightmare.
I hope you don't have nightmares when you go to sleep right after this, my friend. That was scary. That was scary.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Quickly, 40 seconds here for you, my friend. What's your next investigation coming up?
Next one, we're going to be going down to that cave, seeing what we can come up with down there. And I'll have a professional with me.
Well, we look forward to hearing you come back here next month to tell us all about it and let us know what is going on with that cave. And hopefully you find something very, very interesting. Butch Witkowski, always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. You're a great friend of this show, and we love you when you're here. So thank you so much for doing it, my bud.
Okay, thank you, buddy.
All right, coming up next, the legendary fedora-wearing John Hudson comes on in for the Unbiased UFO Report. We'll get an update on the ATIP. We'll get an update on Avi Loeb. We'll get an update on NASA talking UAPs. Once again, Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. There we go. Butch Witkowski. He seemed tired that last half hour. He really seemed tired that last half hour. What are we doing to Dave? What are we trying to do to Dave? Try and make Dave laugh. This is true. Andrew is always trying. Let's see. What did Advocate say here? Hi, Terrible Times. Excuse me. I apologize for the yawning, people. I really do. I'm sorry. Yeah, the hilarity of the chat, always trying to screw me up. Justin S., what's going on? Big Bad Oli, what's happening? Hey, Laugh, what's happening? I don't really care. I just like apples. Don't really have a favorite. But my God, I picked up these grapes the other day. These green grapes. Holy cow, were they sweet. Chad Smith is here. I am Chad Smith. What do you need to worry about? I am Chad Smith. No, Terry, I am Chad Smith. Look at this. Everybody's trying to be Chad Smith right now. Terry, Andrew. Boss Monster. My little buddy would kill me. There is the fedora wearing.
No, hold on a second. This.
The fedora wearing John Hudson.
Got you going on too many devices, my friend.
I know. Race fans, Chad Smith. Ange says she is not Chad Smith. She is Chadette Smith. Hey, Ronno, what's happening? How many fedoras do you have?
Let's see. 4 or 5.
Well, there's Super Quest.
I lost one, unfortunately, one I really liked, but no, but I think I think I have 4 at this point. Yeah, I think so. But the other ones I have a much taller top to them,
Yeah.
and I prefer the squatter top because I mean, it's nowhere near FAP's level, but it's definitely a good size head, and I don't need to exaggerate that special effect at all.
I don't think FAP could fit there.
Oh no. Hats are made for certain geometries. And
I agree. We're about to come back here. Big thank you to Noble Patrick, Spooky, Tim, Nicola for the amazing super chats tonight. We really do appreciate it. Thank you to all our new listeners and subscribers. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Don't forget, you can check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's that time once again where we got Mr. John Hudson and his fedora for the UFO Report. We love it when John comes in for another update on everything UFO. John, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How about you, Dave?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I enjoyed myself this afternoon. Got things.
Hello, Archie Manning here. When you grow up in a town like Drew, you understand once a Mississippian, always a Mississippian. I love this place and care about what happens here. Our doctors are telling us 95% of new hospital patients who have COVID did not get vaccinated. We know the vaccine works, but only if you get it. It's easy and it works. Please get vaccinated, my friends, and stay healthy.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
Your power-chewing dog runs through toys like they're going out of style. That's because weak toys aren't their style. They need something tougher. Your monthly subscription from Bully Make is packed with ultra-durable toys and healthy treats made here in the USA. Tested by tough chewers and delivered every 30 days. All backed with a satisfaction and durability guarantee. Try your first box at 40% off. Bully Make. Tougher toys for tougher play. Go to bullymake.com/podcast now.
Going. My son had pictures for his hockey team for this season. And he's very excited to hit the ice in just a couple of days as well. And, there's nothing better than watching his face when he gets all smiley when he's like, Dad, do I have hockey tonight? And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's what I want to hear. So I'm pretty happy right now.
There's nothing better than watching kids get excited about things that they've taken ownership of, that they feel is their own thing. It's just, kids are a pretty phenomenal invention.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So what do you got for us tonight, my friend? Let's start off with NASA. The one thing that I find very ironic about this whole scenario with NASA is for years we heard rumors of scrubbing photos and getting astronauts to keep quiet about UFOs that they were seeing in the skies. And now all of a sudden, they're talking UAP. What is going on here?
Well, unfortunately, we won't really know for a number of years. But My personal hypothesis at this point is that this NASA director was put in very, very intentionally, because this gentleman before this held several different roles, including in Congress, where he was privy to a lot of the information that it's possible even NASA was not hearing about. And so one thing I get a kick out of, and I do want to read part of his statement really quick, is that very often when you saw him earlier on panels where he had other members of NASA, he would say things and you'd see the people behind him that work for him, like, taking, and looking at each other like, really? Did he just say that? Because essentially I really believe that what's happened is I not to get too political, but but Biden and him are good friends, and I firmly believe that he was put there by the Biden administration to push this from the top, and it's kind of working. And basically he's the truth of the matter is he's not saying a lot of drastically different things each time he talks, but he's refining it. He pushes a little further in each time he talks, and he's very eloquent in the way he does it. And he did push out a little more information, and that what he said was that he knows what we've seen is what these pilots saw in 2004, but that there's been, he claims, over 300 sightings since, which is a slightly higher number than we'd been given before. So the fact that he's talking about 300 sightings that he knows of, that he's been briefed on, that's a little bit more of a wide group than we did. And let's be honest, there's probably much more than that. But it's good that he keeps pushing this. And I like the fact that every time he brings this up, he says, "I've talked to the pilots," and he'll say this over and over and over. "I've talked to the pilots, and they know they saw something, and their radar's locked onto it. And all of a sudden it was here. He looked down on the surface. There it is." And he kind of pointed up and gestured. So, he's very familiar with the testimony of Fravor and Alex Dietrich and all these people. And he's pretty aware. Honestly, I would kill to interview the gentleman. But what I like is the fact that, he stretches as far as he can. He says, and they don't know what it is, and we don't know what it is. We hope it's not an adversary here on Earth with that kind of technology, but it's something. And, he goes on to talk about how this is the mission of NASA, to find things that we don't understand and to understand them as best as possible. But he's really, to me, what he's doing is he's coming. When I grew up, I possibly incorrectly, but I always saw NASA as a at least publicly a kind of a straight shooting organization where they would just give you kind of data. And to me, that's what this is like. He's basically trying to give us information as much on the level as he can. Now, let's face it, it's still way beyond what the real level is, but he's trying.
Hey, I agree that he is trying, and the gentleman we are talking about is Bill Nelson.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Bill Nelson, but not NASA director.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I don't like it, John. I mean, I'm very at a crossroads here. I like the fact that he is talking about this. I like the fact that any government official or space official is talking about this. But this is a company, or I don't even know, can we call it a company? Let's call it an agency. I guess that would be probably a better suited term, that for years has had astronauts come out and say, we were followed. We've heard statements from NASA people saying every rocket that we have launched has been followed by some sort of UFO craft. We have heard statements from whistleblowers saying that they, including on this show, that said that their job was to help wash NASA photographs. All right, there's conspiracies galore around NASA and the UFO subject. And so for the fact that they are now playing Navy pilot, Air Force pilot, oh my gosh, look what they have seen, and we've seen nothing here at NASA, BS. You know, clean your own closet before you start talking. You want to give us anything? Clean your own closet. Make your bed as well. I don't know. It angers me, John. It angers me a little bit on this.
So, I mean, yeah, sure. I understand your perspective. I think it's, I mean, essentially no disrespect, but I think at some level it's naive. This is an organization that is not the benevolent unicorn rainbow sprouting, org that most people have thought of. This is an organization that has held the domain of space for a very, very long time. And they have been involved in all sorts of activities in space. And a lot of people need to start waking up to the fact that there was a significant number of shuttle missions that had two completely separate mission profiles to them. One was a black project and one was a public project. And, there's no mistake that so many of the NASA astronauts are former Navy SEALs. I mean, it also has to do with their capabilities. But, I mean, this is an organization because the thing is that you didn't want to have to stand up a completely separate organization for every single branch of the military. I mean, they all have to have space units, but you don't want each of them to have a shuttle program. You don't want each of them to have, this and that. So NASA became that focal point. And so they've had to play that line for look, NASA Ames is right by my house, right? Once for one afternoon in 25 years, have they ever let anyone from the public onto that property? I'm being past the gate. I mean, sure, I've gone in several times for meetings and so forth, but no one, like, you can't just go say hi, right? The whole place is locked up. So, I think we've had a misconception of what NASA is. And so I think what you have now is you have an outsider coming into NASA telling what he has seen from the outside world. And I think while he's informing us of what he knows, he's also informing NASA down what he knows. And he's, at some level, putting them all in check.
Could be. And I hope it continues. I really do. Okay? But I still think he's playing the public for being stupid. I really do. All right? If anybody should not be talking about this subject, it's him. And it's NASA. All right? Unless they are willing to give the goods on some of the things that they have had from all of these strange videos that, and video feeds that have been cut from the International Space Station the minute something strange comes flying on by, and it's happened a lot. Okay, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. Sure, I may have some tinfoil hanging around here somewhere. But, nonetheless, we're being ripped off here, okay? I mean, it just, it grinds my gears. I have to say it that way, because otherwise I come close to swearing. I get so angry over this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is that, a lot of U.S. organizations are in a position where they will not discuss what they cannot explain. And most of what you're talking about that they have on video, they didn't research. It wasn't their job. Somebody else did, but not them. So, I mean, all they're going to end up doing is I suppose they could do what the Navy did and just release videos and go, ta-da, here, we don't know what this is either. Go nuts, Twitter. They're in a difficult position, but I think they're trying. I think he's trying. I think Bill Nelson is trying.
He's trying by using the other agencies. Like I said, Bill Nelson needs to clean his own closet. If you want to be serious about this, clean your own closet. I'm sorry. I don't see there being any other way. I really don't. Without being rude. I mean, I want to shake this guy. Not shake his hand. I literally want to shake him to see what falls out of his pockets when it comes to UAP.
And I'm going to guess there's a lot of people in his organization that he wants to do the same thing to.
Your problem is you always see the bright rays of sunshine in everything. You are a positive person, man. You know, I must.
It's what my life has led me to. So I apologize.
Yes, mine has led me to gray hair early and an overweight and high blood pressure status. That's where it's got me. But that's okay. Moving on.
I know life's hard in Canada, so you know.
Hey, it isn't hard yet. It's not even cold yet. Not even cold yet. Wait till it gets cold, then we'll worry. Then we will worry. All right. Moving on to subject number 2. Avi Loeb, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, David Wilkinson, all gathered at the DNI for a panel. What was this about?
No, well, this gets even wackier than that one. So basically, what you have is you have, as you said, you have Avi Loeb, who
yes.
We all know and love or don't. You have Bill Nelson, who Dave and I were just having a lovely chat about.
Where'd you go? We are working on getting the stream back here, so please bear with me, because something seems to have gone awry here on the situation, but that's okay. We are working on it as we speak. As John was saying, what do you guys think about the entire NASA field? Do you think there's something wrong with that? Do you think there's something up? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to see what happens. But I think the public has a very, very strong argument against listening to what NASA does. I really do. I really do. And I'm just trying to figure out what is going on with this entire thing. It just doesn't make sense that NASA, after all these years, wants to play the UFO game. It's bothersome. I mean, we've heard the stories, from Neil Armstrong apparently going on the private emergency line saying, they are here, they are on the hill, and they are watching us. Did that actually happen? I really don't know. But I mean, when you look at astronauts, whether it's Cooper, whether it's Buzz Aldrin, whether it's anybody, saying that they have seen things up in the sky while this is going on, it just makes it very, very interesting to see what's going on. It really does. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And it just makes no sense whatsoever. It really makes no sense whatsoever. This is what I'm trying to figure out. This is what I'm trying to figure out. This is what I do not understand. And this is what I don't get overall. So, in the end, I'm curious what you think. How much more do they have to play us for all of this stuff? How much more do you feel played? That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to get figured out here for myself. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it isn't. I really don't know what is allowed and what isn't. Maybe I'm taking it too personally. I know I'm passionate about this subject, but nonetheless, I really don't know where it goes from here. I really don't. And that's the hard part about it. The very hard part about it. I don't know where it goes from here. And all of you out there in Radioland should really be looking into that as well. Because think about it. How many of our tax dollars have gone towards NASA over the years. Billions, trillions over the years. And it just doesn't make sense as to why it's going on. We don't want it to happen, but it is happening. And it has been happening, and it will continue to happen as long as we allow it. I'm really surprised that nobody has put any pressure on NASA from the media on down to sit there and state, well, this is good for us. This is good for what we are doing. The public's going to buy this. Absolutely, they're not going to buy this. Or will they? That's what they are banking on. That is what they are banking on. And they are hoping that you, as a public, will continue to make things happen that way. And continue to buy the narrative. That's where things get really, really wrong each and every night. I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't think you should like it either. You know, how many times do we have to put up with this? It's what I don't get. Just makes me shake my head. Really makes me shake my head that we are still putting up with this. Look, we know there's secrets. The DNI report, as Bill Nelson stated, okay, this only went back to 2004. Granted, he did come out and say that there were 300 other cases that he has read up on, which is more than we've heard, but big deal. That's just from fighter pilots. I don't want to hear from fighter pilots. I want to hear from the astronauts, people who have lived up on the International Space Station, people who have, did the old shuttles, flew on the shuttles. What did they see? What about the Apollo missions for the astronauts who are still alive? What about them? What about Dr. Edgar Mitchell, who was so in tune that NASA was having a major cover-up? This is the sixth man to walk on the moon. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And what do we do about it? Nothing. We do nothing. And that's all we can do. Why? Because we don't ask questions, and we have nobody asking questions for us. And for those of us, like me and others, who want to ask the questions, well, they go unheard. They go unheard. This may be worth a rant coming up later this week. We'll figure it on out. But we do appreciate it. And we appreciate all of you tuning us on in as we are having a little bit of audio troubles tonight here on Spaced Out Radio, but we will make it happen. We will make sure that we are here again, all tuned in for the next big show, because that's what we do around here. We want to say a big thank you to everybody tuning us in here on Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out. Big thanks to John Hudson, Butch Witkowski, and everybody else hanging on out with us. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone who took us in tonight on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
Hello, Archie Manning here. When you grow up in a town like Drew, you understand once a Mississippian, always a Mississippian. I love this place and care about what happens here. Our doctors are telling us 95% of new hospital patients who have COVID did not get vaccinated. We know the vaccine works, but only if you get it. It's easy and it works. Please get vaccinated, my friends, and stay healthy.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
With MailChimp, you get a whole lot more than a URL. You get an all-in-one marketing platform to help drive sales. That means you can connect your data to make more informed, smarter decisions, and you get powerful automation tools like our Customer Journey Builder to ensure you never miss an opportunity to turn shoppers into loyal customers. So if you're ready to integrate your marketing and boost sales, get started today at MailChimp.com/smartmarketing. MailChimp, built for growing businesses.